Hi everybody, Matt back with you. Hope you're okay. This weekend just gone, it was the coronation, so if you've been watching that, hope you've enjoyed it, or not if that's not your kind of thing. Just remember to be kind at all times. Today, it's Bank Holiday Monday, and I'm on my way to a place called Charlestown, which is just on the outskirts of Hebden Bridge. On the 23rd of June 1912, a rail disaster occurred on what was called the Charlestown Curve. So this is the line towards Tobbenon, and over this side of the bridge it continues its journey into Hebden. Next area it would meet along this line is Charlestown. So I'm taking the scenic route to reach Charlestown rather than the canal or the road. I'm heading uphill through Jumblehole Clough, and I'm going to follow a road across the top of the hill so we can look down on where we need to be today. It's good to see all the bluebells out. I'm not going to cover too much of Jumblehole today, purely because I have a full video looking at all the lost mills that were once in this valley. So you can find that on my channel if you're interested. June 23rd, 1912. An express passenger train between Liverpool and Leeds was en route. It had stopped at Rochdale at 2:45 p.m. It was due into Halifax at 3:05. Now, for anybody who catches the train today, you'll know that that doesn't happen in that time anymore. The train was heading towards Halifax, or more likely towards Hebden Bridge. And unfortunately, the notorious Charlestown Curve was up ahead. With it being an express train, the train was going quite fast. And as it hit the corner, disaster struck. So now we're on a path that runs parallel to where the train line is, although it is in the distance about there, which is the new line. The curve would have come round this way originally, so it was a far more prominent curve. Whilst we're here, we'll just have a quick look at the remains of Mount Olivet Baptist Chapel. So this is actually the second chapel in a very close vicinity to be called Mount Olivet. There is another one near Robin Wood. This one opened in the, I think, 1840s. By 1909 it was closed, and by the 1940s it was demolished, so it's obviously looked like this for quite a long time. There is a picture of what it looked like just here. Interestingly though, the small graveyard still exists. now just sit amongst these bluebells. Not very easy to see. This has got an interesting little line on it. Death's terror is the mountain. Sorry. Death's terror is the mountain faith removes. 'Tis faith disarms destruction. That's very dramatic. Just up here, there is this 1846, which is obviously the date stone from the building of the chapel. Anyway, let's get back on track. As the train reached the curve, it leapt off the track, crashed into the embankment, all 7 carriages either being driven into the side or tumbling over onto their side. It was a disaster. At least 20 people were injured. 5 people were seriously injured. Worst of all, 4 people were killed in that accident. The 4 people who died in the crash were Miss Agnes Chadwick from Rochdale, Mr. Dickens from Leeds, Mr. Hicks, also from Leeds, and Mrs. Longworth from Manchester. Mrs. Longworth was with her husband and child, who both survived. Now bizarrely, amongst the train there was also the body of a 55-year-old man called Mr. Horsfield. But he was already dead when he was on the train, and his coffin was being carried back to Leeds. It's been rumoured that Mr. Horsfield was actually a victim of the Titanic disaster that had happened 2 years previously. Imagine that kind of bad luck. The coffin was smashed, so Mr. Horsfield had to be put into a signal box near the station, near the line, until a new coffin could be brought for him to continue his journey. The 4 other bodies were taken to the nearby Woodman Inn. So this is the Woodman Inn today, a ruined, abandoned pub on the side of the road, and where the 4 bodies of the victims of the train crash were kept. Now, decades after, future landlords were to start experiencing some very strange activity in the pub, certainly around the 80s and the 90s. And landlords would see glasses be knocked off the bar and smashed, glass frames behind the bar smashed, and the sound of rolling barrels in the cellar. And at least 2 people I know claim that they've seen figures from these upstairs windows. Sadly, the Woodman is very well sealed and inaccessible. But a few years ago, that wasn't the case. Here are a few pictures of what it looks like inside. Sadly, the Charlestown Curve continued to create problems for at least 2 more decades, and there were 3 more accidents here. 15th of April 1916, the 9th of February 1924, and the 2nd of January 1929. Until it was finally decided that that corner needed speed restrictions. Well, there was still a great fear that a good number of trains were not following the restrictions in place. Thankfully, no more accidents occurred in this area in Charlestown. So there we go, that's our story of the 1912 Charlestown railway disaster, and a little bit of a ghost story at the end. We'll see you very soon for the next video. Take care. Bye for now.